What made you choose me over so many other people for an interview?
I think it was the roundedness thing that I picked up from your CV and your cover letters.
Why did you guys think that I'd be a good fit? Bit of a role reversal question.
Good question. Your CV was very striking.
It's been kind of good to kind of catch up with you and
Absolutely,
see what you're all about. But I'd definitely be interested in I've got to speak to a couple more people.
Of course. From January to June 2021, I applied to 100 jobs online, and I used my animated CV and a PDF counterpart to try to get the attention of prospective employers. And here is what happened. Hello, and welcome to the channel. My name is Kai, and if you're new here, we mainly talk about cameras, tech, filmmaking, photography, and general visual creativity, but we're doing something a little bit different today. It's related to using an animated CV, so I guess it kind of counts somewhat. And to give this video a little bit of context, I actually created an animated CV back in 2015. Currently, it has around 90,000 views. I used that CV to apply to 2 jobs. I got back 2 responses. I had several interviews, and then I got back 2 job offers. I accepted one of those jobs and have been working there part-time ever since. Actually, until about 2 months ago, but we'll talk about that later. Since I lost all of my client work for my own personal business in 2020, I had a lot more free time, and so I decided to use that time to update my animated CV for 2021. And you can actually go and watch both of those videos right now on the KaiCreative YouTube channel, if you want to. Now, the thing is, I used that original CV in 2015 to apply to 2 jobs. I got 2 job offers, so that's a 100% success rate. And I wanted to know how successful I would be in 2021 if I applied to jobs now using my latest animated CV, and whether or not I could land some interviews. So I decided to apply to 100 jobs using my animated resume and this colourful PDF counterpart, as well as a generic cover letter that I tailored to each position. So the idea behind having an animated CV and PDF were to capture the attention of prospective employers, to stand out from the competition, and to be memorable. An animated CV may or may not work for your line of work, but for me as a video producer, it technically should work in my favor. But I appreciate that it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that it might look like a bit of a joke. People might look at it with disdain even. They might even throw it in the bin, if they printed it up. And as a quick disclaimer, it was never my intention to actually take on any new job roles. I was already in a fairly good part-time position. I was still in my part-time job of 2015. I had moved up the ladder to a managerial position, and it also allowed me a degree of flexibility with my freelance business, so it was a perfect combination. I really just wanted to see how many of the jobs I applied for would invite me for an interview. But as you shall see, there's a little bit of a dramatic plot twist to this story, so stay tuned for that. Now, in order for things to be relevant, there were a few criteria that I felt I needed to adhere to make this video legit. First up, I had to use my PDF CV and animated CV to catch prospective employers' attention and get them to call me back or contact me. The proviso here was that I would be allowed to create a cover letter for each position, which is what most people would do in that situation anyway. Second, the job had to be posted relatively recently in respect to the date that I applied to it. This ensured that I was applying to jobs that were fresh and hadn't already been filled or overwhelmed with applications. Third, the job had to actually be something that I would apply for, so no junior roles or roles that weren't relevant to what I do. So I'm a filmmaker, videographer, editor, and animator, so those were the types of roles that I would apply for. So I couldn't apply for jobs in, say, a supermarket unless they needed a videographer. They had to be legit roles that I would consider applying for and companies that I wouldn't mind working for. Fourth, it had to be within commutable distance from where I live, or workable from home. No point applying to a role in Scotland or Ireland or Wales, because I wouldn't make it there in time in the morning unless I could work remotely from home. So with the criteria set, I used my free time during the evenings and weekends to carefully search for jobs that suited my specifications and went on an applying rampage. I set up a Google Sheet that contained all the relevant information about the position and the company, and I'll leave a link to that Google Sheet down below so that you can check out what actually happened with each of those positions. Now, initially I set myself a 3-month deadline to apply to 100 jobs, so 33 jobs a month. roughly, or basically just over 1 job a day for 3 months. I found that this wasn't realistic because the amount of relevant jobs that met my criteria was simply not being posted as often as that. And so this experiment went on a little longer for a total of 6 months. Now, of course, with the pandemic going on, a lot of people have lost their jobs. On top of that, lots of freelancers in my area of work have lost their freelance work, they've lost their clients, and so they're turning to full-time positions till things pick up. So as you can imagine, the job market is very competitive at the moment, with lots of people applying for roles and positions in video production. So would I actually be able to stand out from the crowd and get noticed with a visual CV? Well, here's what happened. In January, I was very enthusiastic about this experiment and I applied for 35 different roles, primarily through a website called Indeed.com. Originally, I wasn't going to do any interviews, but because of lockdown, everything was done over Zoom, making it really easy to attend interviews online. And I was very keen to know why employers had chosen to interview with me. Actually, I just wanted to hear them say that it was because of my animated CV. And so I decided to commit to some interviews where I screen recorded snippets. I don't 100% know the legalities surrounding that, but I'm guessing if I blur faces, small snippets would be okay, hopefully. And out of those 35 different applications in January, I got back 3 positive responses. I'm guessing that there were a lot more jobs available in January because of the new year. So I got an interview at a company in the education sector, one in the food sector, and one in the hospitality and leisure sector. Why did you guys think that I'd be a good fit? Bit of a role reversal question.
Good question. Your CV was very striking.
So I just jumped off of that interview and I asked the question, what made me stand out to you guys in particular? And they said that my CV was very striking. So that is definitely a positive one for the CV. So I just was interested in what made you choose me over so many other people for an interview.
Well, I think it was it's the roundedness thing that I picked up from your CV and your cover letters.
So I've actually just received an email inviting me to have a second interview, and what I've done is replied to say thank you so much for your time, but I'm actually going to be withdrawing my application. I just wanted to prove that I could get the interview using my animated CV to stand out from the competition, and I feel like a second interview might be a little bit of a time waste for the company as well as for me, because I'm not going to be necessarily pursuing this role. In February, I applied to 17 jobs, so clearly a lot less motivated for this project, but also the jobs weren't as many or varied. Of the 17, I received 4 positive responses, 1 as a head video position for a motivational speakers company, 2 for online content creation, and 1 as an online teacher.
I've interviewed people from a wide variety of different areas, from sports, entertainment, health, well-being.
Salary expectations, I don't know. I have no idea. So you guys tell me. You tell me how much you're willing to pay, and we'll see if that aligns, if that's not too unreasonable. £100 million. In March, I applied for 12 roles as I was super busy at work during this time. I got 0 replies. However, I did have 2 interviews during this period from previous applications.
What do you see yourself in 6 months? Like, what are you doing?
Teaching NAS Academy full time. In April, I applied to a further 12 roles and I got back 2 responses, one from an education company and another from a quality assurance company.
So the good news is we'd like to progress your application and invite you to a Teams interview with our production manager.
We've had a look at your site and, you look like a busy kind of person. Obviously, in your letter you said you've got all these different kind of irons and different fires. So how does this really fit and why now?
Now, on the 20th of April, the dramatic plot twist happens in our story. So for my part-time job where I was the head of video production, my team and I were called into a meeting with HR, which if you've ever been in that situation before, can only mean one thing.
We are in the position today of confirming that your role is to be made redundant.
Yes, like so many other people around the world, I lost my job, and unfortunately, a couple from my team did too. And up until that point, I had been working my way up the ladder in this role for the last 5 years. I was finally in a managerial role and it was dissolved within a couple of weeks. Now, being made redundant isn't ever fun, but it actually helped me to get out of a very toxic work relationship that had developed over the last 6 months. So I was quite happy to be done with that and move on. It really was like a weight lifted off of my shoulders.
Your role is to be made redundant.
This is your world to play inside. This is the story that we'll write.
So at this point, my little experiment had a bit more of a purpose. I felt like I needed something to cover the loss of my part-time role. However, in May, I was super busy with redundancy stuff, talking to lawyers, sorting out paperwork, etc. So I only managed to apply to 11 roles, but I still got back 2 responses. One from some sort of solutions company and one with the IFBA.
It's been kind of, good to kind of catch up with you and see what you're all about. But, I'd definitely be interested in, I've got to speak to a couple more people.
Of course.
We're actually really surprised. We thought we were going to have to get some money behind the ads on this, but we haven't had to at all. I don't know, maybe there's a lot of you around at the moment because it has been quieter, maybe.
I think like a lot of people that do what I do for freelance, the freelance world dried up literally within a month. So I had stuff booked in for the whole of 2020 that disappeared in March. So yeah, it was quite painful. But I mean, I had my job as well in London, so it wasn't a problem for me until obviously recently. So in June, I started to wrap up this whole experiment. I was a little bit burnt out from the redundancy stuff, the applying to multiple jobs and doing lots of interviews. So I wrapped it up by applying to the final 12 roles, and I got back 3 responses. One from a jewelry brand, one from a digital engagement platform, and one from a media company. Now, I actually didn't reply to any of those last 3 interview requests, which is a little bit rude. Sorry about that. And the reason why was because in June, I had enrolled in an online program to become a trainer with the NAS Academy, which I'm doing now, and I absolutely love it, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But before that, while I was scripting this video, I realized that I had only applied to 99 jobs because I had failed to discount my title line in the spreadsheet. Amateur mistake. I also realized that some of the positions were just agencies fishing for details, so they weren't legitimate roles. Very sneaky. So in July, I quickly applied to a few more roles to make all things square for this video, and I got rejection messages back from most of those. So that was that. So out of the 100 jobs that I applied for, what was the response? Well, I ended up with 14 positive replies and 14 invitations to interview. Of those, I attended 9 interviews. I got through to the next round with 7 of those interviews, and I cancelled on all of them except for one role, which really suited my lifestyle and worked around my schedule. Nowhere near the 100% success rate of my original animated CV in 2015. It was about 14%. But then again, it was never my intention to take on any of these roles, and I landed a pretty sweet position by the end of it. So yes, I'm currently working as a trainer at the NAS Academy. I have met some very talented, positive, motivated individuals, which is absolutely amazing. And also helping to create the next generation of content creators is just an awesome job. And actually, I have a code for you down below in the description box. So sign up to any one of the amazing NAS Academy classes using my code and get 20% off. And also you could potentially have me as your teacher. Actually, that's probably not a very good incentive. People aren't going to sign up now. So the original idea for this video at the start of the year was to create something that I could use to promote my Skillshare class on how to create an animated CV, which I'm kind of doing now, technically. And if you want to replicate something similar to this for yourself, if you feel that it's relevant for your line of work and it might help you get noticed in the job market, I'll leave a link to that Skillshare class down in the description box below. Now, actually, this whole experiment and experience has taught me that you never really know what's going to happen in life and what other opportunities might come along. I never intended to take on any roles or positions, but I'm really grateful that I did this. And this ever-evolving journey has been as interesting and exciting as ever. So a little bit of a different format today. Let me know what you guys think of these types of videos in the comment section below. If you found today's video useful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that little bell for notifications too. So that's it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. All that I've got left to say is stay creative, stay safe, imagine, implement, and inspire. And I'll see you next time on KaiCreative. Being made redundant isn't ever fun.
Your role is to be made redundant.
This is your world.